Somewhere beyond the sea. Somewhere waiting for me. I can vividly remember a friend of mine showing me the E3 trailer for Bioshock. You know the one where the Big Daddy impales a splicer from behind with his drill. I remember thinking, I have no idea what I just saw, but I do know that I want it. Bioshock is not only an amazing video game, but it created one of the most incredible worlds I've ever seen. With its fantastic premise, horrifying atmosphere, and ingenious gameplay, this game was truly revolutionary. In fact, Bioshock not only won multiple Game of the Year awards at the time, but many consider it to be one of the best video games ever made. Well, so do I. So let's take a trip back to Rapture and see just why Bioshock is one of the best games I've ever played. It was not impossible to build Rapture at the bottom of the sea. It was impossible to build it anywhere else. So I'm using Bioshock Remastered for the footage in this video, but honestly, back in the day, this game was still very impressive. The water that is constantly leaking into the city looks gorgeous and really sells the claustrophobic atmosphere. The plasmids not only have a unique look while in standby mode, but the effects of firing them off are spectacular. On top of this, each weapon is wonderfully designed and each upgrade truly hammers home their new ability by aesthetics alone. The Big Daddies take the semblance of old-timey diver suits and create a horrifying, intimidating, and just overall powerful presence. But above all else, this game shows some of the greatest world building that I've ever seen. When you first enter the bathysphere into Rapture, you're greeted by its creator, Andrew Ryan. As he begins wrapping up his introduction, the canopy rises, and you see it. Rapture. This introduction shows incredible architecture, stunning advertisements, and what appears to be a thriving metropolis. Then you dock. Then it all comes crashing down. As you travel through this city, you can look at each individual area and truly get the picture as to what Rapture looked like in its prime. From a bloody medical pavilion, to an infested farmer's market, to the steam-brimming core, each individual area tells its own story and paints a picture of an incredible city with a horrible downfall. While Rapture may be a rusting, decaying, and overall terrifying death trap, at least it's a beautiful one. So, at its base level, Bioshock is a first-person shooter. Once the game begins, however, it becomes apparent that this game is so much more. As you travel through Rapture, you'll find various weapons, ranging from a Thompson submachine gun, to a crossbow, to a chemical launcher. Each weapon has different types of ammo which can be purchased from the various vending machines or crafted with parts scavenged from your foes. Each weapon proves to be incredibly versatile, and swapping between weapons and ammo types during combat can greatly help even the odds. Speaking of combat, each splicer type attacks in a different manner and forces the player to adjust their strategies on the fly. From the thuggish splicers running at you with pipes, to the spider splicers crawling across ceilings, and of course, the Houdini splicers who teleport. But we can't forget about the Big Daddies. These brutes will either shoot you with their rivet guns and throw mines, if you're lucky, or charge at you with a massive drill. Now, while you may be heavily armed, you're gonna have some trouble dealing with all of these foes. So, what's the answer? Splicing. With 11 different plasmids, you will burn, freeze, shock, and infest your way through your foes, along with dropping giants to get your hands on more Adam. These plasmids interact with the environment spectacularly, and create many opportunities to destroy your adversaries. They told me, "Son, you're special. You were born to do great things. Turns out they were right. The atmosphere of this game, while incredible in visuals alone, would be nothing without the music. There are not only some incredible licensed tracks in this game, but the orchestral score is nothing short of amazing. As you enter the lobby of the lighthouse before descending into Rapture, you'll hear a peaceful and melancholy rendition of Beyond the Sea, or La Mer if you prefer. This wonderful piece of music may put the player at ease, or possibly frighten them even further, while validating the setting without a single word being spoken. But that's only one example. The crescendo of strings as you enter the city, the incredible piano piece as Sander Cohen's masterpiece comes to fruition, and of course the Nutcracker Suite as splicers attack you, which I fired my shotgun in time with the music. But the licensed soundtrack is just as spectacular. Mostly using songs from the 40s and 50s, these songs not only create astounding dissonance with the terrifying surroundings, but largely validate the setting. The most obvious example is Bobby Darin's Beyond the Sea playing on a random jukebox in a bar, of course, but here is my favorite example. Near the beginning of the game, you'll hear the Ink Spot's If I Didn't Care playing on the overhead speakers. Now, this is not only a wonderful love song, which creates a sense of sadness seeing the remains of people's lives while it plays, but it gets far creepier as a spider splicer both sings and hums the song later on as she stalks you. The soundtrack of this game is nothing short of masterful, and powerfully sets the tone for this incredible adventure somewhere beyond the sea. What separates a man from a slave? Money? Power? No. A man chooses, and a slave obeys. The plot of this game has a very fantastic premise. You survive a plane crash over the Atlantic Ocean, then wind up in an underwater city ravaged by both civil war and the denizens that have mutated into abominations after excessive drug use. All you know is that you need to get out of here. But of course, it's not that simple. A helpful and oddly polite Irishman named Atlas offers you a deal. Help him save his family, and he'll help you both escape. What could go wrong? The answer is everything. Literally everything. You'll fail to save Atlas's family before Andrew Ryan blows them up to spite you, have to restore oxygen to the city, and get derailed by an insane Salvatore Dali, just to name a few instances. But you'll scratch and claw your way through this city, fighting the drug-induced abominations, wasting hundreds of rounds of ammunition on the Big Daddies, and squeezing all of the atom that you can from the Little Sisters. Then, it's on to kill Andrew Ryan. Wait, kill Andrew Ryan? Wasn't the objective just to leave? I mean, yes, you may feel a sense of vengeance after he killed Atlas's family, along with his constant attempts on your life, but surely there's another way. Well, no time to think of that. After all, Atlas did ask you kindly. More fighting, more splicing, and more monologuing later, and you're finally ready to take your, Atlas's revenge. Just a few more rooms in... What happened? No time to think. I have to kindly go in there and kill that son of a bitch. Yes, that's right. What separates a man from a slave? I believe this is one of the greatest plot twists that I have ever seen in a video game, second only to Knights of the Old Republic. Every single one of your actions were being controlled by Atlas. You never had any free will. You are nothing more than a puppet. The plane crash, the submarine, the massacre, all occurring because you've been programmed to obey 3 simple words. Would you kindly? A man chooses, a slave obeys. This absolutely astounding storyline had me hooked off the bat, but this revelation moved it from a good game to a great one. But that's not all. As you collect the various audio diaries, you'll not only get a much bigger picture as to just what caused the city to collapse, but you'll also get a much deeper understanding of the characters, along with some incredibly haunting and downright disturbing scenarios. This game showcases astonishing world building, masterful storytelling, and an incredible play on free will in video games. But in the end, you can always choose your path, and choice, by default, makes you free. It's no secret, I love Bioshock. Though, I guess if I disliked Bioshock but put it in my best games I've ever played series, that'd be kinda weird. Anyway, to be fair, I'm going to address some of the criticisms that I've seen of this game. Number 1. The political subtext is heavy-handed. You know, I don't disagree. Andrew Ryan's grandstanding shows his extreme objectivist point of view with little confusion as to where he stands on any political matter. As you unravel the history of Rapture, you begin to see that not only did his fanatical views heavily contribute to both the rise and downfall of Rapture, but as soon as his power is threatened, he walks back his own rules. Heck, the puppet for the antagonist of the game is named Atlas. So yeah, subtlety was not Ken Levine's strong suit here. In fact, if Bioshock 2 and Infinite are any indication, it never was. But this never really bothered me. I personally looked at the subtext of these 3 games as a warning against extremes, and honestly, I'd say that Bioshock, as over the top as it is, portrays this warning well. Number 2. The endgame is weak. I'll get into the final boss in a moment, but it's widely thought that the latter quarter of the game or so is considerably weaker than the events leading up. After the peak moment of realizing you're a sleeper agent, discovering you're Andrew Ryan's son, killing Andrew Ryan, then seeing the reveal of Atlas being the infamous Frank Fontaine, it's a little tough to follow this moment up. Well, there are a few memorable moments, such as you attempting to fully break your brainwashing and eventually becoming a Big Daddy yourself. But again, I'd have to agree that this segment of the game doesn't quite live up to the rest, even with late game powers, weapons, and plasmids. Number 3. This game is too easy. With Vita chambers scattered throughout the city, you are never far from a respawn point. On top of this, there is no penalty for dying, and the enemies you were fighting maintain their damage between deaths. So yeah, this game is pretty easy on the surface level. In fact, and this may just be me, I almost never failed the hacking minigames. So yes, in the traditional sense, this game may seem to lack challenge. But look at it this way. You can constantly attempt to brute force your way through the waves of foes, dying multiple times in the process with no penalty. But this makes the game flow much more smoothly than having to reload a save upon each death. Not to mention, with the Big Daddies, massive amounts of splicers, and demonic turret placements, you'll probably have some trouble here and there. Plus, if you do find the game too easy, you could always just turn the Vita chambers off. So, no, I do not agree with this point. And last but not least, number 4. The final boss and endings are underwhelming. 2.1 I agree, 2.2 I do not. Once the gloves come off and Fontaine becomes the true antagonist, the game begins gearing up to an incredible climax. He mocks you, tries multiple times to kill you, and depending on your karmic choices, this makes for a powerful chance for revenge or redemption. Yet, his boss fight is really just fighting a Big Daddy that can use plasmids. The 4 stages of this fight only differ in which plasmids he uses, and the final stage adds more splicers and sentries. In fact, it's not even the bullets doing the damage, it's you and the little sisters draining him of his atom. Highly poetic, but not necessarily epic. That being said, the endings are simple, but powerful. If you killed more little sisters than you spared, well, not only is it inefficient, but you learn nothing, begin your tyrannical rule of Rapture, and hijack a nuclear submarine. But if you have a heart, you'll escape Rapture and give the little sisters a chance at life. A chance you never really had. Your parents, your home, your upbringing, all lies. But by rejecting power, by rejecting greed, by rejecting Rapture, you earn your reward. And in the end, what was your reward? You never said, but I think I know. A family. We all make choices, but in the end, our choices make us. With its beautiful world building, horrifying atmosphere, and incredible writing, I'd say that Bioshock has earned its reputation as one of the best games ever made. I began this series by looking at Bioshock Infinite, one of my favorite video games of all time. And while that game shows a story of love, loss, regret, and redemption, the original Bioshock has one simple, overarching theme. Choice. The choice to do the right thing. The choice to make amends. The choice to be your own person. This powerful message creates an atmosphere of hope in this rusted city somewhere beyond the sea. And that is why Bioshock is one of the best games I've ever played.